Children in movie theaters have got to go, and we need to talk about it.
Get them out of here.
Get him out of there. Don't give him back the popcorn.
Please no.
Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
What is this intro?
And that's Annmarie. And yeah, you know what? We just came out seeing Fall Guy, but before, a little PSA for y'all that go to the movie theaters and looking for a great old experience for you and your communal theater community. You know,
Children.
yeah, when you take your children to see a movie and they start talking at a above average volume, do not meet them at that above average volume. Encourage them to whisper well below that volume.
You know what's so interesting? The movie we saw was rated R, I'm pretty sure.
What's the Fall Guy rated R?
I gotta check into this. But also, to quote Shepherd Book from Firefly, there's a special place in hell for murderers and people who talk in the movie theater. Not saying children deserve that, but...
Oh, no, it's PG-13.
Oh, I thought it was R.
Oh, those children well below 13. And
We sound like old people.
there was no parental guidance. They forgot that part. They're like, oh, minus 13. Like, someone duct taped, like, the PG in there, like, when they were looking at it, like, from the movie poster. Like, oh, it's minus 13, so it's for ages below 13.
Oh.
It's perfect. They could talk during the whole movie.
Oh, man. I guess they did get their one F-bomb in the movie, so...
Yeah, they did. And it was a great old bomb it was. Just kidding. This movie was great. This movie was great. Let's talk about the movie. Let's not talk about the
Okay. We saw Fall Guy.
We saw this guy.
Ryan Gosling.
Emily Blunt.
And stunts galore.
Stunts galore. I mean, this cast is great. I think everyone's so charismatic, has great chemistry, energy with each other. It's directed by David Leitch.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, David Leitch, who I didn't know this was a stunt guy himself.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah, they give you a little intro before the movie, like just kind of telling you to turn off your phone, like very passive aggressively, by the way. And I love it.
Should have been keep your children silent, but you know.
Yeah, turn your children on silent.
Can I just say, I love when movies do that, when they have like a director be like, hey, thank you for coming out. Like, please put your phone away. I love that. But anyways.
Yeah, more movie theaters need to do that.
Yeah.
We stand that. But, you know, this movie was great. Like, the chemistry with everyone, just so dynamic, so engaging. I could just watch the movie with that going, and that's really all it was. It was all of that and more. It kept my attention throughout the entire thing and made those kids talking right behind us
non-existent.
for the most part.
No, I love this movie. Oh my goodness. Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling have such great chemistry. I think Emily Blunt has great chemistry with anyone she acts with, like The Rock and Jungle Cruise. Like, they just have such good chemistry in this movie. It makes a world of difference.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, she also has really good, surprisingly good chemistry with that one guy from A Quiet Place. I can't remember his name, but like really cool dude. It's like they were married or something.
Isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure to who, but like if I were her, I'd be worried. Like, I mean, they had really good chemistry in that Hush movie. So
we're recording at night. We were both so loopy right now.
we are fairly loopy. But you know what else made us loopy? Just how fun this movie was.
Oh, that's like the main word we both use walking out. Like, this movie was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and not like fun in the sense of like a boy kills world, which was like, you know, I would say fun, but it definitely had quite a few flaws in it that held it back from being like a good, great movie. This one was like fun and a great film at the same time. I was entertained thoroughly throughout it. For all you who don't know, it's basically about a stuntman that's working again with a past love interest, Emily Blunt, as she's directing her first big feature film. And he finds out that the person he's being the stunt double for has a very sketchy history, that he apparently is the only one that is able to solve what's wrong with him.
I love how much this movie's so meta. He's like, call the police. And they're like, we can't call the police. We need you.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just a stunt guy.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of wondering that first. I'm like, this sounds like a little bit of a stretch, but it's just like, okay, you know, I'm on board
Call
for
it out.
And then as the movie goes on, we won't get into spoilers yet, but as the movie goes on, you know, you kind of figure like, oh, that's why. And then it starts to click, and you're like, it makes sense, bro.
Everything.
Yeah, so, I mean, what isn't there to talk about with this movie?
It's so funny.
It is.
And I should expect that because Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling are both very funny people. But, like, it's so funny. And it's a different kind of funny than some other movies because it also has, like, that visual impact that's funny, too. Like, a lot of actors can say a line and, like, it can be a jokey line. But when they can, like, present themselves in that certain way, I think it, like, makes it bigger. I'm thinking of one sequence when they keep doing the same shot over and over and over again, and Ryan Gosling is put on fire. And I don't know, the way he carries himself in that scene, like, his body language made it even funnier to me.
Yeah. And, you know, outside of the comedy and, like, you know, all the acting and the obvious stuff on the surface that was really fun about this movie, I did not know, you know, regarding the music, you know, I gotta talk about the music.
Yeah.
The soundtrack and the score and all that. I did not know there could be so many different iterations of Kiss's I Was Made for Loving You, Baby, you know, in one movie. Like, there's so many different iterations of that song where it goes from, like, the actual version to, like, a remix version to, like, an orchestrated epic version to, like, a, like, almost a modern day, like, pop for orchestra James Bond version of it. And it's like, this is great. I love this. It just felt like a different song each time, which technically it was, but it's the same song at heart.
Gosh, that was so funny. They also had a Taylor Swift song in there.
Yeah.
They had a Ludacris song. Oh my goodness, it was so fun.
And, you know, a lot of movies I've noticed nowadays kind of try to capture that lightning in the bottle that Guardians of the Galaxy had, like, where they try to pick the soundtrack that's, like, nostalgic for a lot of people, and sounds like you could pop in a cassette tape, and
roll credits.
Wink, wink. No, a cassette tape, and just kind of, like, have it rolling and, like, I know that song, like, the middle-aged dads get all happy. But you know, here I feel like it didn't feel like Guardians of the Galaxy was the first thing I thought, because a lot of that with say Godzilla X Kong, right? That's a movie where I'm like, oh, this feels very Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, esque with how things are going and the soundtrack. But this one, it felt like its own thing because it not only took, like, you know, very nostalgic classic rock songs and soft rock songs and all that, but it also kind of rearranged them, put new spins on them, and, like, made it almost the theme and guiding, like, almost like the Force theme or, like, its theme throughout Star Wars. I thought I was not expecting the music to really take as much of a strong step forward in this movie to take a bow. I mean, like, it just does such a great job as its own performer.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I think it's cool that, like, even, like, people have like Ryan Gosling, like, really thrives with the music too, like, his performance. So I think that's super cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool with how, like you were saying, this movie is really meta. Yeah. And in fact, there's one thing in particular we'll get to in our little spoiler part, but there's something that is really meta that we just died in the theater for.
Oh my gosh. No, it's so cool. I also right now, we're gonna stop. Thank you, stunt performers, for everything that you do in movies. You really are the unsung heroes of it all. And it's so cool. Like, this is an action-packed movie, and there's so many stunts. But at the end of the movie, they played behind the scenes of it. And so shout out to every stunt performer, too. Like, absolutely crush it and everything.
Yeah, and I know a few stuntmen myself, you know, that work on, like, say, Chicago Med, Chicago PD, or the Chi. You know, like, they have such a tough job, but, you know, a lot of them really love doing it. And you would think, you really love getting hit all that much, or, like, being thrown on the ground? they love doing it, and like helping, these filmmakers, craft this vision and make it feel as real as possible. So absolutely, like, shout out to them for putting their bodies constantly on the line for stuff like this.
You get 2 thumbs up.
You get 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up instead of 1. And there's so many cool stunts in this too. Like there's a specific fight scene in a car that's so cool of how it's shot, and I think it helps that the director was a stunt performer too. So yeah, I'm sure he made sure it was like safe and everything, but it's so action packed, that scene.
Yeah, and I know that it's just gonna open the door to more stuntmen like looking to direct their own things. I mean, heck, you have Matthew Vaughn, that has this movie that he's directing or is involved in. I can't remember if he's directing it or if he's just like producing it or what. He's heavily involved in it. That's the point. But he is working with a bunch of stuntmen on it, and it's supposed to be like this big action movie where like a lot of the stuntmen have a bigger say in it. And so to hear that, go along with it, like this whole ushering in presently of like stuntmen kind of getting more and more into the limelight here. Like, I'm loving it. Like, if it makes the action sequences better, and we don't really need to focus on so much of the actors being there, like, and maybe restricting it because they want more screen face time or whatever. I mean, hell, this is awesome. I love stuntmen and women getting like more attention because their faces are barely even noticed.
Yeah. I think it's also funny, going back to the meta part, Ryan Gosling, someone asked him like, oh, is there an Oscar category for stuntman? And it was like, no, there isn't. And there was like a little chime in the background. I think that was super funny too.
Yeah.
Oscars, give stuntman their own category.
Yeah, I mean, they did give him that little shout out. But I'm just like, that's what the Oscars always do.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, they did that with George Lucas today. Where they really gave him an Oscar for Star Wars, like any of the Star Wars movies. And, it's just kind of like, really? Like, you're going to try to make up for it with this little video of everyone else winning for Star Wars except for the guy that was at the helm of it. Well done, Oscars.
Just, I think back to the time when the Oscars, like, kind of congratulated Andy Serkis for mocap for Planet of the Apes and all that. And it's like, what the, like, no.
Yeah, it's like, come on, you really should have a category for it. If it's that quintessential to filmmaking, and you're able to categorize it, like, and, compare it with other people's performances in that same realm, you should be able to put it up as an award opportunity. I don't see why not. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about with stunts, it's like, well, you need to have someone on set, like some sort of actuary almost, to kind of like make sure that this is the actual person versus, say, CGI. I'm like, yeah, you already do that with like certain, union people, like where there's someone always on set making sure things are running properly and following the right proper guidelines and all that. Why don't you have someone, why isn't the Academy, like, and I think this should be something that each movie proposes to the Academy, where it's like, hey, we need a representative from you to come to set and be like this third party to kind of watch over, like, to make sure we're following all the rules and guidelines, so we can get this stunt person a potential Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
I mean, the Academy has a lot of money. I don't see why they shouldn't be able to do it.
Oh, man. It's the Academy, though.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it should happen. It can happen. And hopefully it will happen.
Yeah.
So, I don't see why not. I guess, another thought with this movie before we get into spoiler territory would be the fact that it really does not only kind of nod to stunt people, but there's a good, like, supporting nod with just general filmmakers, like pyrotechnics and, like, just assistant directors and assistants even.
Yeah.
Like, I like how when one of the producers was walking by, one of the assistants was holding an umbrella in one hand and just like a pastry dish.
Yes.
The producer wasn't even like taking from. And I'm just like, oh, respect to you, assistant.
It's kind of cool because Ethan and I we love film and we love filmmaking, and we have both kind of created our own little short films and everything. Check out my YouTube channel if you want to see those. And
Shameless.
You have one too on your channel.
Kidding.
But I think it's really neat as well to see behind the scenes stuff, because you get to see the cameras and all that. And like as a little kid, I'm like, that's so cool. Like you get to drive a car with a rig on it. Like that, it's so neat. And yeah, there's so much that goes into a movie. And so I think showcasing that, it's so good. And this movie really captured that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we're going to see where stunts go from here, you know. And
so like it get bigger.
Yeah, we'll see if the Fall Guy kind of is the big catalyst for getting stunt people their recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it will be. I mean, granted, this is a remake. I can't remember if it was a TV show or a movie.
Yeah.
With what's his name?
Lee?
Yeah, Lee Majors.
Lee Majors.
Who... Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was a spoiler because it was mentioned in something else, but he does cameo in the movie.
Yeah.
So that's cool. He was the original Fall Guy. So, you know, it's cool to see that. And yeah, you know, we'll see where this goes. I hope it leads to, you know, this whole new watershed moment, you know. So, yeah, I guess out of 10, yeah, we got to figure it out. Okay, out of 10 rubber props.
Rubber props. I had so much fun. After the movie, Ethan and I talked, and I was like, this might be up there on like my top 5 this year. Like, I won't be shocked if it's on my top 5 this year. And it's so much fun. It's so cool seeing Stuntman represented, and even like the chemistry between Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling is incredible. So it's like a 9 for me.
Yeah, you know, I actually might put it in the 10 category.
Really?
I can't really find too many, like, really a flaw that I can recall. Like, I mean, I could see where people would think, like, oh, it might be dragging on here, but I'm like, no, I'm enjoying this because there's a lot of charismatic dialogue, and the synergy just works between all these characters and actors that I don't consider it dragging. I'm engaged by this dialogue. So, you know, and it was like that throughout the entire movie. So I didn't feel like that was a problem for me, and I was worried that was going to be the one problem. Turns out it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
And I didn't really see too much of any other problems that followed. So I'd have to give it 10 out of 10.
Give it what it deserves.
Exactly. Now, we're just about to get into our spoiler review, but before we do, don't forget to let us know if you have seen The Fall Guy. You know, if you haven't, let us know if you're excited to see it. You know, are you a stunt person? Do you have experience in stunts? Are you wanting to get into stunts? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you're going to see this movie while, you know, figuring your whole, I can't remember the word.
I don't know what you're saying.
It's a word.
This movie didn't make me want to do stunts, though. And I'm like, Annmarie, you're afraid of heights. You can't jump off a plane.
Yeah, don't try doing that. Do not. Annmarie's not encouraging you to jump off a plane.
Don't do it.
Unless your kid starts talking.
Oh my God, throwback.
All of them. Not just the men, but the women and stuff. Okay. Let's get into our spoiler talk here. I can't remember the word I was gonna say, so we're gonna move on.
I love how meta this movie is, and one of the things that makes this movie meta is the director, Emily Blunt, is making a movie called Meadowstorm. It's like a sci-fi movie, like whatever. Classic sci-fi cowboys, all that. They start playing music that sounds exactly like the Dune music.
Yeah, their movie that they're making is like a giant orgy, like the result of a giant orgy of all your favorite sci-fi movies, from Alien to Dune to Mad Max. I mean, like, oh my gosh, it's like they just took everything, like, put in a movie, do it, and that was the result. And it is hilarious. Like, Annmarie and I were dying when the Dune-esque music was playing.
It was so funny just because, like, I did not expect it. So great job.
Oh man, like it made all those kids talking behind us go away.
The moment.
It's hilarious.
Oh.
But I gotta say though, since we're getting spoilers here, this movie did, the true thing outside the stunt people that was very, very very accurate, was the fact that producers, their number one job is to bullshit the hell out of you.
I love it. Who played the producer?
She's from Ted Lasso.
She is? Oh my goodness, she was so good. So what ends up happening is Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ryan Gosling, his character Colt, is the stuntman for Aaron Taylor Johnson's. And Aaron Taylor Johnson doesn't like him because he thinks stuntmen are getting too much recognition and all that. And so he kills his other one and blames it on Colt, and the producer is in on it. And it's so funny. Those two were like comedic villains, but it was so much fun seeing them together.
It was like Hannah Waddingham, by the way, is the name of the actress, who, by the way, I love. She is so charismatic on screen every time I see her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm in the middle of watching Ted Lasso right now, on like midway through season 2. She is just such a, like, I wasn't expecting to like her performances or the character as much as I ended up, liking her. Like, she's awesome. The actress is great. She carries that same energy here, but like very almost cartoony style. Like, It reminds me of the villain from Cruella. Like Cruella the villain from
Emma Thompson, right?
Oh no, well, was she the original one from 101 Dalmatians?
No. I was thinking Cruella, the Disney.
No, I meant like Cruella de Vil, like the original, like where her and her henchmen and all that. Yeah, it just reminded me of that vibe, and I loved it. It was just so classic and kind of nostalgic within itself of that style of evil.
I think it's so much, like, it kind of reminded me of Argyle a little bit, just like the villain of it and the cartoony-ish. But oh my goodness, it's so funny. Like, when at the end, it's a huge action scene where they're blowing up cars and all that, jumping, like this huge ditch and everything, and them two is just so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say that this movie, I was not expecting it to be this ginormous, like, epic war battle almost at the end. Like, almost like that was the movie being shot, like that they were shooting almost, it's just the, God, I am forgetting my terminology today. But no, there's just like that whole duality going on between like the movie that they're shooting and then this like great battle of all these stuntmen ninjas taking down everyone with their motors, like dirt bikes and all that. Like it got really intense and like grand scale for a minute there.
It was really cool. I like what the director did with it as well. And it's so funny. Like, they call out split screens. They call out like the third act. That Jason Momoa is in this movie, but
yeah, he's in the movie, which, by the way, I love that trailer that they cut together at the end.
Yes.
That was
they're like, welcome to Hall H. Like, they're previewing
the dog in his glasses.
Oh my God.
I'm just like, yo, get Messi to team up with him. Get him in a movie together.
I love the dog.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, get Messi the dog to team up with him. Those dogs are so great. Get him in like the next John Wick or something.
Oh my!
Like, I don't know, one of the characters dies and the dog's avenging them.
Bring it. I truly feel like this could be a sequel. Like, there could be a Fall Guy 2. Depending on the success that this makes and everything.
I think it would be a movie the studio would make a sequel to if it's very successful. However, I would be more in the camp of wishing that they wouldn't make a sequel to it. I think it's a really good one-off movie. I can't imagine there would be another story to tell with it.
No, I really feel like they could make a second one if they really wanted to, and if it's successful and everything. you know, they leave it off where Emily and Ryan, I keep calling them by their real names, but they are in love at the end of the movie, and I feel like they could do another one if they really wanted to.
Yeah, and the thing that's really interesting, by the way, about their love story is the fact that, honestly, they fall in love pretty early on, and then they just kind of like, they do have that degree of separation for a while that, of course, causes the, you know, awkward dynamic between them and what are we kind of conversation. Yeah. But, like, you can tell, like, they still both are of the same mindset, really, at the end of the day. Like, they both really care for each other and really love each other and want to be together, but aren't willing to admit that. I thought that was an interesting way of going about it, where rather than the classic, like, oh, I gotta win her back kind of thing, it's like they're both kind of trying to win each other back. And it's an interesting dynamic.
I agree. I think it's better than, like, some other movies where, like, one of them is not into it, but they, like you said, they're both trying to win each other back as well.
Yeah, it's definitely one way a stuntman can please their director.
That is true.
Both off and on set.
Oh, what was your favorite stunt in the movie?
My favorite stunt, well, my favorite scene has got to be the chase scene, like with the guitar. Dude, they were on a giant guitar. No, it on the car with the truck where they're kind of like sliding.
Oh yeah.
I think that was my favorite scene. My favorite stunt was Ryan Gosling on the helicopter.
Yeah.
Jumping from one side to the other. And I'm just like, that is so cool. And, you know, it's really cool because I haven't seen it. It's very refreshing to see it done really without too much CGI.
Yeah.
And to see it done like that, it reminded me of going to, say, Universal Studios in Florida many years ago when I was younger with my family, or Disney World. I can't remember which one it was, but they would show you how the stunts were done for movies. And, like, it's just so cool and neat to see, like, it almost felt like you're actually there.
Yeah.
And that really helps with the immersion, which is ironic because that's the whole point of CGI. So, you know, I don't know. It's fun and very refreshing.
Yeah, I think it was cool seeing, like, all the stunts at the end of, like, how they did it, too. I was like, this is so cool. Like, again, shout out stunt guys. You deserve all the love. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I guess, anything else to add, Annmarie?
No, I'm all good.
You're all good? You're stunted?
I'm going to go take a fall now. Well, that's not funny.
I mean, I don't know. What does that imply? Like, you're taking a fall? Like, is that like you can't take a pee or what? Like, you're taking a fall? That's an interesting way of calling it, but, like, I want to get that checked out. In other words, thank you for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. We hope you haven't ejected this far into the episode, although after that little Annmarie taking a fall, you might have wanted to. So, but thank you for joining us on this episode, and let us know what you thought of Fall Guy in this episode. Yeah, we're having great air. It's late. But yeah, let us know what you thought of Fall Guy, or if you're planning to go see it, have you seen it? And what do you think stunt people should get an Oscar?
Yeah.
Or an Oscar category? Do you think they should have their own thing going on? Should they have their own award? I'm not sure if they have their own awards. Ooh. So, like, maybe they should have that set up if they don't.
That'd be cool.
Whatever you're thinking, let us know in those comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us for more takes on these tapes.